Hey, welcome to the Uncomfortable is Okay podcast. I'm your host, Chris Desmond, and this is a show where we make it easier for you to get out of your comfort zones. Today's episode, I was a little bit stuck in terms of thinking about things to speak about today. Just having a little bit of a mind blank and a case a little bit this afternoon of just can't be fuckeditis with a few different tasks. This not being one of them, but I did notice that it carried over into figuring out what to record for this week's mini episode. But I thought actually what that triggered for me was to talk about multiple comfort zones that we each have. And I don't think this is a topic that I've discussed too much on the podcast so far, but we talk about everyone having a comfort zone, but in truth, everyone has multiple comfort zones that in each area of our life, we have a different comfort zone, and you can define these different areas in many different ways. So, I mean, you could think about it as the physical, the emotional, the mental, the spiritual, the vocational, the community, the social comfort zones. They're all different, and they all interplay with each other, and they'll all affect each other. But for example, for myself, as most of you know, I'm a pretty sporty guy, and I always have been. So my physical comfort zone is actually quite large, is that I can push myself a reasonable amount physically or take on relatively large physical challenges. Like, for example, I ran an ultra marathon last year, and yes, it was hard, but I never really thought that was so far beyond me that I wouldn't be able to do it, that I thought, yeah, man, this is going to be a challenge, but never that, oh, this is really, really hard for me. This is kind of nigh on impossible. In terms of other comfort zones for myself, so the emotional comfort zone is probably, as many guys my age, is not as well trained and well developed as my physical comfort zone. It's definitely improving, but I find it much harder to take on challenges emotionally, or take on kind of challenges of the same magnitude as running an ultra marathon from an emotional standpoint compared to a physical one. Or also for me as well, as that, I mean, I've had a job, or I've had jobs for kind of all of my non-schooling life, and creating a business around Uncomfortable is Okay, creating uncomfortable media, is massively outside my comfort zone. So that business comfort zone for me is a lot smaller than the physical comfort zone. What I found challenging in that arena are things that are a lot smaller than things that I find challenging physically. And there's nothing particularly wrong with that. And these comfort zones will interact with each other. That if I think, hey, I've been able to push outside of my comfort zone, and I've been able to complete an ultra marathon when, yeah, it was hard. And maybe if I look back, say 10 years, I probably never thought I would have done one, but now it was just slightly outside of my comfort zone. From a business point of view, that, hey, maybe what I'm finding uncomfortable at the moment is actually going to be only slightly outside of my comfort zone in 18 months' time, once I've learnt new skills. So it was just an interesting thought pattern for me, is that we do have all of these multiple comfort zones in different areas of our lives, and it's important for us to look to train each of the different areas of our life. So it's good to have physical goals, it's good to have mental goals, or physical training that you want to do to push yourself outside of your comfort zone, mental training you want to do to push outside your mental comfort zone, emotional training that you want to do to push outside your emotional comfort zone. What I often do is identify different challenges and different ways to get outside of my comfort zone in these different areas at the start of the year. And with coming up to the new year, this is often the time that a lot of people are setting resolutions and setting, hey, this is what I want to work on next year, or what I want to achieve. So thinking about it from a comfort zone perspective, and how you want to challenge yourself in the new year in regards to those different constructs is probably quite a valuable tool for many of you. And if you want a little bit of help with this as well, what I'm doing with people is just kind of a short 4-week block coaching course, stretching people. So identifying areas of challenge that they want to work on strategically to get outside of their comfort zone, and then working through a process to really get the ball rolling and overcome that initial inertia and initial lack of momentum to get outside of your comfort zone. And that 4-week block is going to be enough to really push you over that first hump and get uncomfortable. So if that's something that interests you for the new year, flick me a message on social media or send me an email, uncomfortableisokay@gmail.com, and hopefully I can help you out with that. But thanks so much for getting uncomfortable with me today.